In today's lesson, I'm going to go over using the StatDisk software to do graphing. So where I am located right now is in my online Math 240 class, but the process for accessing StatDisk would be exactly the same for the my face-to-face class, my Math 240 FO2 class. So first of all, I want to show you where you can locate the copy of StatDisk, and it's under the Tools for Success, and you go to this site, and it has different versions for Macs and PCs, and what you want is the version for the 12th edition of the textbook. Now I'm using an older edition of StatDisk on my current computer. I will be hopefully updating it when I get a scheduled in with the IT group here at Germana. But the process that I'm going through in StatDisk will be the same. So you simply go here, and these are the ones that you want. I believe this one is for PCs, and this one is for a Mac, I think, as I recall. So I'm going to take you now inside. I've opened up StatDisk, and let's see, I'm going to need to move my window up here briefly, so let me move it up. Okay, now what I'm going to do is actually create a histogram that will go with the example problem that we did in section 2-2 and then also during the lecture in 2-3. So what I have is a list of the numbers, and what you want is you want to put all of your numbers in this first column. You want to make sure you're putting all of your numbers here in this first column. You don't want to put it in different columns because it'll treat it as different sets of numbers. So as I did in class, in the lecture portion, I'm going down the vertical columns and just simply entering the numbers that are listed there. And I'm going to show you a few things with StatDisk in terms of how to maneuver the numbers. I'm hoping this version is relatively close. I know this part should be pretty much the same. 71, 78, okay, 78, 76, 66, and 81, 86, and 69, 80, and 81, 84, and 78, and 71, and 79. Okay, it looks like I may be missing a value. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. I should have 30, so I see what happened. Okay, so I'm going to put the 76 here. And let's see, 64 down here. Okay, alright, I should have 30 data values since I goofed up that one. Alright, so once you've entered the data, you may want to save it, okay, so that you can save to your computer. You may want to print the data. One of the best things that I like to do with the data is I like to sort it. This is very helpful. We can also edit the columns titles. So let's see. Okay, let's call these scores. Okay, so you can see scores is up there. Another thing that's very useful is to sort the data. And so I'm going to sort the data in column 1. That's where my set of data is. So you can see it goes from the lowest score up to the highest score. And this is very useful if you're counting how many you have of a certain number and that kind of thing. Now, we want to copy the data from the sample editor to use it in various places. So I'll make a copy of, I only need column 1. Okay, so I'm going to make a copy of that. Now that I have my data ready in the sample editor, what I want to do is I want to go look at data. This is where you will be beginning with most of our graphs and so forth. As you can remember in class when we did or in the lecture when we did the histogram by hand, I said most people use technology to do a histogram. So let's do a histogram on StatDisk. And what I do is I use StatDisk for histograms, and the other types of graphs I typically will do in Excel. So when we get to those in the next section, we'll take a look at Excel. Notice when you're doing this histogram, you have a choice of doing a frequency, like we did in class, or a relative frequency. Because this is a technology that we can do these rather quickly, we're going to do both. So we're going to start with the frequency, and for now I'm going to use AutoFit so you can see what happens. Okay, it looks like we have a nice number of columns. Looks pretty much like the graph that we had in class. Okay, and so if I want, you'll notice that the frequencies are over here. If I want to change it to a relative frequency and then plot it, basically the graph looks the same. What's changed is that we now have percentages over on the left rather than frequencies. Now let's go back to the frequency counts, and you do have the option of setting the class width, and I was going to suggest we set it just like we did in class. We had a class width of 5, and we started the class at 59.5. So that's where this first bar begins. So if you weren't happy with the AutoFit, you could certainly change it to what you would want. If you decided, well, I don't want a class width of 5, I want a class width of 7, let's plot that. You can see you are only getting 5 bars. Now you wouldn't want fewer than 5 bars. So that would be the maximum class width. Let's see if we go down to a class width of 2. All right, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I probably would not want to have it as small as 2. Let's see if that's a lot of bars for the... Okay, that looks a little bit better. I'd probably do between 3 and 7 as my class width. And that decision would be entirely up to you. I kind of like the 5 is more or less in the middle of that, so I kind of like that. Now we can turn on labels. That makes the numbers appear on the graph. If we don't want those, we decide we don't want those, we can turn them off. If we're doing the relative frequency, we get the percentages. So at the top of each one. It's a little misleading because the percentages aren't appearing. So that's the way, and again, this was located under data is where you find the histogram. So sample editor is where we started, if you want that. Okay, so there's our sample editor. So that's basically how we use, and again, you want to remember to keep your numbers in one single column if you're just working with one set of numbers. If you're working with 2 sets of numbers, then you would want to use 1 and 2. So like when we get into looking at scatter diagrams in the next section, we'll actually be using 2 columns. So that basically concludes what I wanted to show you in terms of the problem set for this section.